So thanks, Amit, for joining us on Bloomberg Quint. My first question to you is, tell us about the investment that you have raised. How much does it value Paytm Mall at, and what are the key areas are you looking to invest into?
Yeah. So as you know, we have got the latest funding from SoftBank and our existing investors, Alibaba. So and we are looking at this investment from a perspective of investing a lot into our technology, right from enabling the shopkeepers to be digitized and come onto the platform, to actually the consumer experience side, from logistics and all other kinds of technology. So a lot of investment, a large chunk of this investment will get into the technology and and improving the customer experience, and also in terms of educating and bringing the shopkeeper partners onto our platform. So as you know, our focus is on the offline to online model, where we are pioneering and championing this whole concept in India as a way of digitizing the shopkeeper partners and bringing them onto the platform and enabling them with abilities and technology to go ahead and attract and give a seamless experience to the consumer, whether they are in the offline or on the online world. So towards that end, a lot of investment would also go into the education of the shopkeepers and training them. And we are really thankful to our investors that they have shown a lot of faith into our whole O2O model and the strategy and the way it is panning out and getting traction in the market. So it is a big sort of affirmation of their faith in the whole model and how we are transforming the retail landscape of this country.
And then also, can you tell me about the shareholding SoftBank will have on Paytm Mall post this deal, and how much does it around really values Paytm Mall at?
So honestly, valuation and shareholding is something that is sort of confidential in the thing. I won't like to comment on the numbers per se, but SoftBank definitely is going to be one of the key investors now into the Paytm Mall also. And then as you know, like the total investment was around $450 million, just a shade lesser than that.
And it's an interesting mix to have giants like Alibaba and SoftBank back on board the same company. What kind of synergy do they bring together to the table?
So there's a lot of learning that we do get from both Alibaba and SoftBank because both of them have been operating and running large businesses at a very large scale, and that gives us a lot of confidence and learning in terms of whatever they have done in their markets. And the opportunity for us is to learn from that and actually go ahead and create our own model in India, which is specific to the Indian market. And that is exactly what we are doing as a part of our the whole O2O model. So there's a lot of learning to be gained from, apart from the money which is obviously there. But good part is both of them are long-term investors with a lot of faith into our model, and that definitely helps us in the longer run and building up the whole model, which is very specific to India.
And over the last 1 year, Paytm Mall has raised more than $600 million, including this round by SoftBank. But given that Paytm Mall follows a asset-light, inventory-less model, what are really the costs for the company?
So major cost, as I said, is into technology build-up and in terms of the seller education and training. That part is the largest chunk of the investment that it goes into, and that is something that we'll keep on building. And as you rightly said, our investments are not into typical inventory or even owning a large feet on street of logistics operators or things like that, because all of these are something that we are enabling as a part of the ecosystem. So we very clearly differentiate ourselves in a model where we are the technology providers for all our partners, and we ensure that all the partners together orchestrate the retail experience on our platform in a way that the consumer experience is superlative. And that is what we are investing in, and that is where the largest spend buckets also are for us.
Right. And how much of the money will be going into marketing spends? And also, if you can give me a breakup between marketing and setting up your offline. So just, you recently opened your first brick and mortar store as well. So if you can give me a breakup of how much of the money will be going in marketing and how much of that will be going in, setting up brick and mortar stores for Paytm Mall.
So again, as you as I was telling, our overall model, we don't own any of this infrastructure. So all the big brick and mortar stores are also in partnerships with some of the leading brands in their particular segments, and so essentially we invest into the technology that goes into those stores. We would be completely bankrolling the technology infrastructure in those stores so that consumers have a superlative experience. But the spend in terms of the infrastructure itself is not what we do. That is not our game, and that is not what we actually excel at. So I would steer clear from any investments into a brick and mortar store other than the technology part. Okay. So technology is the large investment even in the offline stores. And as far as the marketing goes, yes, there is a quite a decent chunk of investment that would go into marketing and ensuring that the consumer experiences and offers are there. While in our model, because we are working so closely with the brands and the stores, all the marketing is jointly done between us, the brand, and the partner stores. So from that perspective, there is while disproportionately higher value goes out to the consumer, we might not be spending all of that from our pocket.
Right. And also, if you can talk to me about what other verticals are you looking to bring on board Paytm Mall?
So we are a horizontal portal, and definitely we are already present in quite a large number of categories, and we would keep expanding on them as we have been maintaining. There are segments of habit building like FMCG and day-to-day stuff which people buy a lot on a regular basis, and then there are impulse purchases which you would buy one-off, typically like a fashion or this based on your browsing abilities, and then you have the one-off purchases that you are doing with mobile electronics, appliances and all. And as far as whatever we have seen in the market till now, commerce, especially the online commerce world, hasn't solved much for beyond the mobiles and a few subcategories of fashion. So our endeavor is to go ahead and keep expanding the kind of offering, because as we have been maintaining again that our target is to go ahead and ensure that the complete retail ecosystem is digitized and brought onto the technology platform, and not a small subpart of it which is called e-commerce. So that way we would be targeting the complete spend bucket of the consumer, which would amount to pretty much every category that exists where the consumer is spending, and we'll keep on expanding some of those categories and making it deeper and better for our consumers.
Right. And also, if you can tell me about in terms of numbers, what are the target numbers by the end of this year as far as the GMV is concerned, or the getting number of sellers on boards are concerned?
Yeah, so in the first year of operations, we were able to ramp up our operations significantly, and we hit a peak of $3 billion as a GMV run rate. The idea is that we should go ahead and expand it by 3 times in the coming year, and we are pretty confident of achieving that, mainly led by our store rollout plans and ability to reach out into much more deeper into the country. And so it's pretty much 3 times of what we are doing this year is what should be our target for the next year.
Right, and that goes for the number of sellers on board as well, right?
Yeah, that goes for it will be led a lot by the shopkeepers, because in our model, shopkeepers are very central to our approach to what we are doing as a business.
Right, and also, what about profitability? How does the path to profitability looks like? Because e-commerce is one space which, for them, profitability looks like a far-fetched dream. Is that the same story going to be for Paytm Mall as well?
So honestly, we haven't yet started looking at profitability as a key metric, and because we firmly believe that it's quite early as it's only 1 year of our operations. So that way we are in the investment phase of the business. But having said that, with the model and the approach that we have, I don't think we'll keep burning money senselessly. I would say there would be a lot of investments that would go into technology and seller education and all, which effectively is being building up for the long term. and not necessarily into only discounts or things like that. So that's where, while the spend will keep continuing, there will be a lot of mindful spends into investments into longer term things rather than a cash burn on a day-to-day basis.
Right, and also you mentioned that you're going to be on an expansion mode. If you can give me a sense of what kind of investment are you looking to make in the coming 2 years?
So I won't like to put a figure right away on that, because it does depend a lot on the speed at which we are expanding and how fast we are getting into various nook and corner of the country. But it will be definitely upwards of $1 billion in terms of the spend
in the coming 2 years only.
Yeah.
Right, and I mean, the market has the kind of growth the e-commerce industry saw in 2015-16, that has drastically come down. I mean, we are seeing some pickup in the pace. When do you see the e-commerce industry really picking up and getting back to the kind of growth we saw way back in 15-16 maybe?
So if you look at our expansion, and I can tell you in terms of our context and how we are looking at it, we have been expanding the market significantly. A large chunk of the growth that we have has come out from the segments where people were not existing till now. So that way, I think there is a whole lot of scope of growth left in the country, especially I would expand the scope to a technology-led retail in the country. And we definitely expect to be at the forefront of that growth. And while, as you rightly said, this year again it has picked up, I think the pace of growth would increase more rather than less in the coming years, because consumers have also started significantly getting they have become much more comfortable with the online commerce and doing things on app and all, and that will keep on growing with the kind of data expansion and things that are happening in the country today. I'm pretty sure we are in a very good time in terms of the growth going forward.
And you follow a different model as against the peers like Amazon and Flipkart, which are already in a fierce battle for a market domination. Do you think Paytm Mall will be able to break into that number 1 and number 2 spot?
So I won't go ahead and compare myself to the other people, because our model is also very significantly different, as you can see. And so in our own right, we will definitely be a very, very significant player and a large player on that. And with the kind of market that we are addressing, which is effectively the $1.1 trillion retail market that is projected to be in 2020, rather than $50 billion or something like of e-commerce what we are talking about. So logic says that we would be much larger than any other player, while we have our own unique model being built up from scratch in this country. So we are very bullish that we'll be definitely a very, very large player. Whether you can compare us to the others or not, I would like to compare, because our model is very different. So we are not in the same basket as anybody else. So our chase is against ourselves as to how many shopkeepers can we get. So the metrics also that we track are significantly different from any other player. For us, a shopkeeper is a very key factor. How many of them are there on board? How many of them are active? How many of them are using all the new features that we are launching for them will be very critical in terms of building the scale and the size of our business. And that, I think, is a much, much humongous big opportunity as compared to anything else that exists in this country today.
And then lastly, Amit, what about consolidation? Now we have like 3 giants who have no shortage of cash. So do you think there is room for consolidation for growth and expansion?
Consolidation can keep on happening, because anyway, a lot of the players remaining now are mostly vertical players. And I'm pretty sure they would be, as people expand, they would be getting into categories which are maybe dominated today by smaller vertical players. And that would be a thing. But at an overall level, as you rightly said, everybody has money. So I don't think money will be a factor anymore in the commerce of this country. What is important is how well each of us executes our own model and what we make out of it, rather than the money per se. Money is available. Money is available for all the key players in the market today.